Rain hammered the cracked pavement outside the community shelter. Maya Chin pressed her forehead against the cold glass, watching water cascade down in sheets. Her reflection stared back at her, exhausted and hollow. 3 months since the layoff. 2 months since the eviction notice. 1 month since she'd stopped pretending everything would work out. Coffee's ready. Maya turned. The man who'd been sleeping on the cot near the back wall stood by the donated coffee maker. He wore layers despite the warmth inside, a faded jacket covering a shirt that might have been white once. His beard was unkempt, his hands weathered, but his eyes were sharp. Alert. Thanks, Maya said, accepting the chipped mug he offered. You're new here. Started coming last week. I'm James. Maya. She took a sip, grateful for the warmth. Not exactly how I pictured my life at 30. James settled onto the bench beside the window, keeping a respectful distance. How did you picture it? Something about his voice made her answer honestly. Corner office. Designer suits. Maybe a dog. Definitely not rationing instant coffee in a homeless shelter while my degree collects dust. What happened? The words tumbled out before she could stop them. How the company had downsized. How her savings had evaporated with medical bills when her mother got sick. How every job application disappeared into the void. How her friends had slowly stopped returning calls, uncomfortable with her reality. Everyone has advice, Maya said bitterly. Just work harder. Network more. Stay positive. As if I haven't tried everything. She laughed without humor. Sorry. You probably have your own problems. We all do, James said quietly. But yours sound particularly unfair. Life isn't fair. I'm learning that the hard way. James studied her for a long moment. What if someone offered you a way out? No strings attached. Would you take it? Maya's grip tightened on the mug. Depends on the offer. Nothing's ever really free. Smart answer. He stood, moving toward his cot. Get some rest, Maya. Things might look different in the morning. As he walked away, Maya noticed something fall from his jacket pocket. A business card, edges worn but expensive looking. She picked it up, squinting in the dim light. The name printed on it made her blood run cold. James Harrington. CEO, Harrington Global Industries. The billionaire everyone thought had died in a plane crash 6 months ago. Maya's hand trembled as she stared at the card. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, casting harsh shadows across the shelter's common area. She looked up. James stood frozen by his cot, watching her. You dropped this, she said carefully, holding up the card. His jaw tightened. For a moment, neither moved. Then he crossed the room with surprising speed, gesturing toward the exit. Outside. Now. The rain had softened to a drizzle. They stood beneath the shelter's awning, the city's neon glow reflecting off wet streets. Maya's heart hammered against her ribs. How much do you want? James asked flatly. Excuse me. For your silence. Everyone has a price. His voice carried an edge of exhaustion, as if he'd had this conversation before. Name it. Maya's face flushed hot. I don't want your money. Then what? A job? A recommendation. He laughed bitterly. Let me guess. You'll go to the media. Tell them James Harrington is alive and hiding among the homeless. That'll get you a nice payday. I'm not going to tell anyone anything, Maya said, her voice shaking with anger. I'm not that person. Everyone's that person when they're desperate enough. His eyes bore into hers. And you're desperate, Maya. You said so yourself. She stepped closer, fury overriding caution. You know what? You're right. I am desperate. I'm 1 bad week away from sleeping on the streets. But that doesn't mean I'd sell you out for cash. Maybe in your world, everyone's for sale. But not everyone is like the people who hurt you. James flinched as if she'd struck him. Why are you here? Maya demanded. Why would someone with billions choose this? Because everyone I trusted destroyed me, he said quietly. My business partner. My fiancé. They staged the crash. Took everything. And while the world mourned me, they liquidated my assets, transferred my wealth, and disappeared. The raw pain in his voice stopped her cold. I survived, he continued. Barely. When I came back, I discovered they'd done it legally. Somehow. Lawyers, paperwork, loopholes. I had nothing. No identity I could use without alerting them. No money they hadn't already stolen. So I vanished for real. Why not fight back? With what? His laugh was hollow. I tried. Every lawyer I approached wanted retainers I couldn't pay. Every contact I had believed I was dead or thought I was insane. This, he gestured at the shelter, is what happens when your entire existence is erased. Maya's anger dissolved. How long have you been living like this? For months. I've been trying to rebuild, quietly. Find evidence. But it's slow when you're invisible. She handed back the card. Your secret's safe with me. Why? The question carried genuine confusion. What do you gain from protecting me? Decency isn't transactional, Maya said. At least, it shouldn't be. Something shifted in his expression. I could help you, you know. Even with nothing, I still have knowledge. Connections I can access carefully. I could make calls, open doors for you. No. Maya's voice was firm. I don't want charity. It's not charity. It's gratitude. It's guilt, she countered. And I won't be a redemption project. James smiled for the first time, genuine and sad. You're harder to help than anyone I've ever met. Good. They stood in silence as the rain started again, heavier now. Finally, James spoke. They're planning something. My former partner, Richard Kane. I overheard him on a phone call yesterday. Where? I've been watching him. Following him. He meets at the Apex building downtown every Thursday. James's voice dropped. He's going to announce a massive deal next week. Using my company's reputation. If it goes through, he'll be untouchable. Powerful enough that, even if I prove I'm alive, no one will care. Maya's mind raced. You need evidence. I need to get into his office. But I can't do it alone. I'm too recognizable, even like this. Security knows my face. But they don't know mine, Maya said slowly. James met her eyes. I can't ask you to do that. You're not asking. I'm offering. Maya, if they catch you, you'll go to prison. They'll bury you just like they buried me. She thought of her empty apartment, her vanished future, her mother's grave she could barely afford to visit. I'm already buried. At least this way, I'm fighting back. James pulled a folded paper from his pocket. This is the security layout. The codes change, but the structure doesn't. If you're serious, you need to understand what you're risking. As he unfolded the plans, Maya realized she'd just crossed a line she couldn't uncross. And somewhere in the distance, thunder rolled like a warning. The Apex building's lobby gleamed with polished marble and chrome. Maya adjusted the borrowed blazer, her hands clammy despite the building's cool air. The fake ID badge James had obtained hung around her neck. Temporary contractor. IT services. Her reflection in the elevator doors showed someone she barely recognized. Hair pulled back. Minimal makeup. Professional but forgettable. 17th floor, she whispered into the tiny earpiece James had given her. I'm going up. Remember, his voice crackled back, third office on the left. You have 8 minutes before the guard rotation. The elevator climbed. Maya's pulse thundered in her ears. What was she doing? This was insane. Criminal. But when she'd looked into James's eyes 3 days ago, she'd seen the same desperation she felt every morning. The same rage at a system that crushed people like them. The doors opened onto a carpeted hallway. Empty. Maya forced herself to walk normally, purposefully, like she belonged. Third office on the left. Richard Kane's temporary workspace, while the main office underwent renovation. The door was locked. Maya pulled out the key card James had somehow acquired. Don't think about how he got it. Don't think about the consequences. The card reader blinked green. Inside, the office was pristine. Too pristine. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city. A laptop sat closed on the desk. This was it. The evidence James needed was somewhere in that computer. Maya pulled out the USB drive, her fingers trembling as she opened the laptop. Password protected, but James had given her the override codes. How did he know them? She typed quickly. The screen unlocked. I'm in, she breathed. Download everything in the folder marked acquisition, James instructed. It'll take 4 minutes. She found the folder. Clicked. The progress bar crept forward with agonizing slowness. 2%. 5%. Maya's eyes darted to the door. Every sound made her flinch. 15%. Someone's coming. James's voice turned urgent. Maya, abort. Get out now. It's only halfway done. I don't care. Run. The download hit 60%. Maya's hand hovered over the laptop. So close. They were so close to having proof. To fighting back. Footsteps in the hallway. Getting closer. 70%. Maya. 80%. The door handle turned. Maya yanked the USB drive, shoving it into her pocket as the door swung open. Richard Kane stood in the doorway. 50s, silver hair, expensive suit. His eyes widened in surprise, then narrowed with suspicion. Who are you? IT services, Maya stammered, holding up her badge. There was a ticket about the laptop running slow. I didn't submit a ticket. Must have been automated. The system flags devices that need updates. Kane stepped into the office, closing the door behind him. The temperature seemed to drop. Show me your work order. Maya's mind raced. It's digital. On my tablet, which I left in my bag downstairs. I can go grab it. No need. Kane pulled out his phone. I'll just call IT and confirm. Of course. Maya's heart hammered. She started toward the door, but Kane moved to block her path. You look familiar, he said slowly. Have we met? I don't think so. His eyes traveled over her face, searching. Then something clicked in his expression. Recognition. But how could he possibly know her? You were at the shelter, Kane said softly. Yesterday morning. I saw you through the window when I drove past. He smiled, and it was the coldest thing Maya had ever seen. You're with him, aren't you? With James. Maya's blood turned to ice. He sent you to steal from me. Kane's voice remained calm, almost amused. Bold move. Stupid, but bold. Where is he? I don't know what you're talking about. Please. Kane pulled out his phone again. Security will be here in 30 seconds. You can tell me now, or you can tell the police. Either way, you're going to prison for corporate espionage. Unless we make a deal. What kind of deal? You tell me where James is hiding. I'll let you walk out of here. No charges. No consequences. You go back to your life, such as it is. Maya's throat tightened. And if I don't? Then you take the fall for everything. Breaking and entering. Theft. Corporate espionage. I'll make sure you get the maximum sentence. 10 years minimum. By the time you get out, you'll be too old and broken to start over. The room spun. 10 years. Her entire future gone. For a man she barely knew. A man who'd pulled her into this nightmare. He's been sleeping at the Hope Street shelter, Maya heard herself say. Back corner, near the kitchen. Kane smiled. Smart girl. Security's been cancelled. Take the service elevator down. Leave through the back. Forget this ever happened. Maya nodded, numb, and stumbled toward the door. As she reached the hallway, Kane called out, Oh, and Maya? James should have chosen his allies more carefully. The service elevator descended in silence. Maya stared at her reflection in the metal doors. A traitor stared back. The earpiece was still in. She reached up, pulled it out, and dropped it into her pocket next to the USB drive. She'd saved herself. And condemned the only person who'd treated her like she mattered in months. The elevator doors opened onto a gray alley. Rain poured down. Maya stepped into it, letting the water soak through her clothes, and pulled out her phone. She had to warn him. She had to explain. She had to. The phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Thank you for your cooperation. Your bank account has been credited with $50,000. Enjoy your fresh start. RK. Maya stared at the screen as rain blurred the words. She'd been played from the beginning. Kane had known exactly who she was. Had known she'd break under pressure. Had counted on her desperation. And somewhere across the city, James was about to be ambushed, thinking she was still on his side. Maya ran. Water splashed beneath her feet as she sprinted through downtown streets. Her phone pressed against her ear, ringing endlessly. James wasn't answering. The Hope Street shelter was 12 blocks away. Too far. Too slow. She flagged down a taxi, throwing herself into the back seat. Hope Street. Fast. The driver glanced at her drenched clothes. You okay, lady? Just drive. Traffic crawled. Every red light felt like torture. Maya checked her phone. The $50,000 sat in her account, blood money she never wanted. She tried James's number again. Nothing. What had she done? The moment Kane had threatened prison, every rational thought had fled. She'd cracked like glass, giving up James's location without a fight. All her talk about decency not being transactional had been a lie. When tested, she'd chosen herself. Just like everyone else had chosen themselves over her. The taxi finally pulled up to the shelter. Maya threw cash at the driver and burst through the doors. The common area was empty except for a few residents watching an old television. She ran to the back corner. James's cot was stripped bare. His belongings gone. Excuse me, Maya grabbed a woman folding blankets. The man who is staying here, James. Have you seen him? Left about 20 minutes ago. Said he had somewhere to be. Maya's chest tightened. 20 minutes. Kane would have sent people immediately. They could already have him. She pulled out her phone, opening the tracking app James had installed when he gave her the earpiece. A red dot blinked on the screen. The warehouse district. What was he doing there? Outside, Maya flagged another taxi. Port District. Industrial Park. That's not a safe area, especially at night. I know. The drive took 15 minutes that felt like hours. When the taxi dropped her off, the street was dark and empty. Abandoned warehouses lined both sides, their broken windows like hollow eyes. The rain had stopped, leaving only cold mist. Maya followed the tracker to a warehouse at the end of the block. The door hung open, creaking in the wind. Inside, emergency lights cast everything in sickly yellow. James. Her voice echoed. Don't come any closer. He stood in the center of the space, surrounded by boxes and old machinery. His face was bruised, blood trickling from his lip. But he was on his feet. Armed. Dangerous. They were waiting for me at the shelter, James said quietly. 3 men. They knew exactly where to find me. Exactly when I'd be alone. James, I can explain. You told him. Not a question. A statement. You gave me up. He knew. Maya's voice broke. He recognized me. He threatened me with prison. 10 years. I panicked. I'm sorry. Sorry. James laughed bitterly. I trusted you. I thought you were different. But you're just like everyone else. You took the money, didn't you? He paid you for selling me out. I didn't want it. But you took it anyway. His eyes held something worse than anger. Disappointment. I should have known better. Everyone has a price. Yours was just higher than most. You don't understand. I understand perfectly. James moved toward a door at the back of the warehouse. Kane's people will be back. They got what they wanted from me. Now they'll come for the evidence. You should leave before you get caught in the crossfire. What evidence? James held up a small storage device. The real files. Everything he's done. Every crime, every theft, every life he's destroyed. Including mine. The USB I gave you as a decoy. I needed to see if Kane had surveillance on his office. You downloading fake files proved he did. Maya staggered back. You used me. No more than you betrayed me. You knew, she whispered. You knew I'd break. You planned for it. I hoped you wouldn't, James said, and for a moment his voice softened. I really hoped you'd be the exception. Someone who'd stand firm when it mattered. But everyone cracks eventually. At least you lasted longer than most. Headlights flashed through the broken windows. Multiple vehicles. Doors slamming. They're here, James said. Last chance to run, Maya. She should. Every instinct screamed at her to flee. But looking at James, broken and alone, fighting a battle he couldn't win, she saw herself. The person she'd been before desperation had eroded her principles. The person she could still choose to be. What do you need? Maya asked. What? To take him down. To finish this. What do you need? James stared at her. Why would you help me now? Because I was wrong, Maya said simply. Because I'm tired of being afraid. Because someone needs to prove that not everyone stays bought. She pulled out her phone, opened her banking app. He gave me $50,000. I'm transferring it back with a note. Try harder next time. She hit send. You just made yourself a target, James said quietly. Good. Maybe that's what I needed to be all along. The warehouse door burst open. Four men in dark suits entered, spreading out in formation. Behind them walked Richard Kane, his expression calm and confident. James, Kane called out. This is getting tedious. Give me the drive, and I'll let you both walk away. We both know that's a lie, James replied. You're right. Kane smiled. But I thought I'd be polite. Last chance. James looked at Maya. In that moment, something unspoken passed between them. Understanding. Acceptance. Run, he mouthed. Instead, Maya stepped forward, positioning herself between James and Kane's men. You'll have to go through both of us. Kane sighed. How disappointingly noble. Very well. He nodded to his men. What happened next was chaos. James had been prepared. Smoke grenades hidden in the machinery. An escape route through the back. Maya ran beside him as bullets sparked off metal, as shouting filled the air as the warehouse became a war zone. They burst into the night, sprinting between buildings. Behind them, Kane's men gave chase. Ahead, Maya saw the river, black and cold under weak moonlight. The bridge, James gasped. Other side. Safe house. But Kane's men were faster, cutting off their path. They were trapped between the river and their pursuers. Give me the drive, Maya said. What? They want it, not us. Give it to me and run. Maya, no. It's the only way. She held out her hand. You've been fighting alone long enough. Let me finish this. Let me be the person I should have been from the start. They'll kill you. Maybe. Maya's voice was steady. Or maybe I'll finally prove I'm worth something. James pressed the drive into her palm. Their fingers touched for a heartbeat. I should have trusted you. You did. I'm the one who failed. She smiled sadly. Now go. Tell the truth. Burn his empire down. James hesitated, then ran toward the water's edge, diving into the darkness. Maya turned to face Kane and his men as they closed in. She held up the drive, visible in the moonlight. You want this? She called out. Come get it. She threw it as hard as she could, watching it arc through the air toward the river. Kane screamed, lunging forward, but it was too late. The drive hit the water with a small splash and disappeared into the black depths. No. Kane's face contorted with rage. Do you have any idea what you've just done? Yeah, Maya said. I chose a side. Finally. Kane's hand came up, holding a gun she hadn't seen before. Then you've chosen death, he said coldly. The shot echoed across the water. Maya felt impact, sharp and burning. She fell backward, the cold pavement rushing up to meet her. Above, stars wheeled in a gray sky. Worth it, she thought as darkness crept in from the edges. Finally worth something. The last thing she heard was sirens in the distance, growing closer. And she smiled. The hospital room smelled of antiseptic and recycled air. Maya drifted between sleep and waking, morphine dulling the fire in her shoulder where the bullet had torn through. 3 weeks. They'd told her she'd been unconscious for 3 weeks. The police had arrived seconds after Kane fired. An anonymous tip, they said. Someone had called in shots fired at the exact right moment. Kane and his men were in custody, charged with attempted murder, fraud, conspiracy. But James was gone. Vanished like smoke. Again. The door opened. Maya turned her head slowly, expecting another nurse. Instead, a man in a dark suit entered, closing the door behind him. He was unfamiliar, professional, carrying a leather briefcase. Miss Chin, he said politely. I'm Robert Kimura, legal counsel for Harrington Global Industries. Maya's pulse quickened. I don't understand. My client wished me to convey his gratitude. Kimura opened the briefcase, pulling out documents. The drive you threw into the river? It was empty. A decoy. James had already uploaded the real evidence to secure servers hours before. He knew Kane would make a final move. He knew you'd sacrifice yourself to buy him time. He used me again. He saved you, Kimura corrected gently. He called the police himself. Testified to everything. Kane's empire is collapsing as we speak. Arrests are being made. Assets frozen. James's identity has been restored, his fortune recovered. Because of you. Maya closed her eyes. Where is he? That's complicated. Kimura placed a folder on her bedside table. James Harrington is speaking to federal investigators. Rebuilding his company. Fighting legal battles that will take years. He asked me to give you this. Maya opened the folder with her good hand. Inside was a letter, handwritten on expensive stationery. Maya, I'm sorry. For using you. For testing you. For putting you in danger. You were right about me from the beginning. I was looking for redemption. But you gave me something better. You showed me what real courage looks like. You didn't have to come back. You didn't have to stand between me and Kane. You didn't have to throw away that drive, believing you were destroying the only evidence that could save me. But you did. You chose sacrifice over safety. Honor over survival. I spent 6 months learning that trust is earned, not given. You earned mine in a single moment. The money Kane gave you has been transferred into a private account in your name, along with enough additional funds to ensure you never have to sleep in a shelter again. This isn't charity. It's what you're owed. You lost everything helping me fight my war. Let me help you rebuild. There's also a job offer enclosed. If you want it. No pressure. But my company needs people with your integrity. People who understand what it means to have nothing and still choose to do right. I can't promise we'll meet again soon. My life is chaos. Depositions, trials, rebuilding what was destroyed. But I think about that night in the shelter often. How you sat beside a stranger and treated him like a person. Not a billionaire. Not a victim. Just someone worth listening to. You saved my life twice. Once with your honesty. Once with your courage. Thank you. James. Below the letter was a contract. Director of Corporate Ethics. Salary high enough to make Maya's head spin. Kimura cleared his throat. He wanted me to emphasize that acceptance is entirely voluntary. No obligation. No strings. Maya stared at the documents, her eyes burning. Why? He could hire anyone. Because you're someone who, when offered $50,000 to betray a friend, tried to give it back. That's rarer than you think. Kimura stood. Take your time. The offer stands indefinitely. And the account is yours regardless of your decision. After he left, Maya sat in silence, the letter clutched in her good hand. She thought about the woman she'd been 3 months ago. Bitter. Broken. Convinced the world owed her better. She thought about the moment in Kane's office when she'd cracked, giving up James's location to save herself. The shame still burned. But she also thought about running back through the rain. About standing between James and danger. About throwing that drive into the river, believing she was destroying their only hope, but doing it anyway because it was right. People weren't defined by their worst moments. They were defined by what they did after. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. I heard you're awake. Good. The world needs more people willing to throw away everything for what matters. Even if it's harder than staying safe. Especially then. Jay. Maya smiled, tears slipping down her cheeks. She picked up the pen Kimura had left and signed the contract. Outside, winter sun broke through gray clouds, painting the hospital room in gold. Somewhere in the city, a man she barely knew was fighting to rebuild what had been stolen. Fighting with evidence she'd helped him protect, with courage she'd helped him remember. And for the first time in years, Maya felt something she'd forgotten existed. Hope. Not the naive kind that expected fairness or easy answers, but the hard-won kind that came from falling and choosing to stand back up. From betraying someone and then nearly dying to make it right. From learning that redemption wasn't given. It was earned. One impossible choice at a time. 6 months later, Maya walked into Harrington Global's headquarters. Her office had a view of the river. The same river where she'd thrown away a drive and discovered who she wanted to be. James stood by the window, older somehow despite the short time passed. Their eyes met across the office. He smiled, cautious but warm. Welcome to the team, he said. Glad to be here. There were no dramatic reunions. No perfect resolutions. Just two people who'd seen each other at their worst and chosen to move forward anyway. Building something better from the wreckage of what they'd lost. Trust rebuilt slowly. Friendship even slower. But it was real. Earned in blood and fear and sacrifice. The kind that couldn't be bought or stolen or destroyed. And sometimes, Maya thought as she looked out at the city below, that was enough. More than enough. It was everything. The end.